In this video, we're going to look at the ablative, its basic uses. This is covered in the Grammar for 4B on pages 213 through 15. Proto-Indo-European, the language from which Latin derived, had 8 cases. 3 of these were a from case, technically called the ablative case, a with case, technically called the associative instrumental case, and an in or at case, technically called the locative case. What I mean by saying this, that's saying that there were these 3 cases in Indo-European that had these meanings, is that if you took a word, let's say the word tree, and put it in the ablative case in Proto-Indo-European, that would have meant from the tree. If you put it in the with case, that would have meant with the tree. And if you put it in the in or at case, that would have meant in or at the tree. The ablative in Latin is complicated because it combines the functions of these 3 originally different cases. In other words, what happened in Latin is that the ablative case wound up absorbing all these meanings into itself. And the result is that it's very complicated and has very different functions. Let's talk about the true ablative first. The technical name of the from case in Proto-Indo-European is the ablative. The name comes from aufero, auferre, abstuli, ablatus, to take away from. Obviously, ablative comes from ablative. The ablative is the taking away case. When the Latin ablative carries the meaning from, it is sometimes called the true ablative. That's because the ablative in Indo-European had this function, the function of meaning from. The true ablative is the one used with the 3 Latin words for from, a and ab, de, a and ex. For instance, ab idibus, which means from the house, de caelo, which means from the sky, or ex idibus, which means out of the house. In all these 3 instances, the ablative is carrying its meaning of from. Sometimes the true ablative is used even without a preposition meaning from. For instance, in this sentence, which is edited down from your reading, sacerdotes responderon servos hoc signum loco sustulissi, the word loco is in the ablative, and even though it doesn't have a preposition, it has the meaning from, and is therefore an example of the true ablative. This sentence means, the priestesses answered the slaves to have removed this statue from the place, or as we would say in English, the priestesses responded that the slaves had removed this statue from the place. So loco on its own in the ablative means from. This is a very good example of the true ablative. Let's talk about the with ablative for a moment, which technically speaking in Indo-European is called the associative instrumental case. This is the ablative that is used with the word cum. For instance, when you say cum Marco, there is a meaning of with in this ablative in this case. So this is a good example of the with ablative. It is also the origin of the ablative of means. For instance, serve veras eos clavis et pugnis repulerunt. The slaves of Verres repelled them with clubs and fists. With clubs and fists is in the ablative, and it has the sense of with. This is a good example of the with ablative. It is also the origin of the ablative of description. When we say a man with great virtue using the ablative is carrying the meaning of with. So this is a good example of the with sense of the ablative. Let's talk about the in or at ablative, which is called the locative, as in location. The function of the locative case in Proto-Indo-European was to give the location of things. I call it the in-at case because in English sometimes we say things are in a place, sometimes we say they're at a place, and it varies with the word which of those we choose. The chief sense I want to get here, though, is that this indicates location. It's the locative case. This is the ablative is used with in. For instance, in idibus, in the house. You're giving the location. You're telling where something is. It is also the origin of the ablative of time. When you say nocte, at night, you're essentially locating something in time. Therefore, this is also an example of the inner at ablative. To sum up, the ablative in Latin is complicated because it combines three ideas from three separate cases in the parent language: an idea of from, an idea of with, and an idea of in or at.
The end. This has been a Barking Blue Heeler production.